in 1 second. Just wait 30
Are
seconds,
you
then
able
it's
to,
going to be.
Chidananda Prabhu, are you able to read it now? If you turn your phone
Yeah,
sideways, and then
Let's
yeah,
you
I've
get.
can
done it.
expand,
I've
the
done it.
letters as big as you like them. I think. At
I've
least
done
I
that.
can. You're
Yeah.
I've
okay?
done
You've
that.
done that?
Okay.
You're okay now? Ramachandra, has he done that?
I cannot see if he has done it or not, but he's saying he's done
I've
it.
done
So
it. I've done it. It's
okay.
Well,
done.
if you can read it, then he can read it. That's the
Okay.
main thing.
So this is a letter to Karandara Prabhu, and you can see here. Here's the date: 22 December 1972. So this is what, about 3 years after Srila Prabhupada has written the direction of management. So
Well,
you can.
2 years.
I can't see the date, but I can't see. Just a minute. Starting at regarding your points about taxation. Oh my God, what's going on?
Yeah, no,
Yes,
About
yes, you read that part,
taxation.
Chidananda Prabhu. Yes, you read that part.
now, Chidananda
Okay.
Prabhu, now you're on center stage. We are all listening to your words.
Okay. Regarding your points about taxation, corporate status, etc., I have from Jai Theatre, you want to make big plans for centralization of management of taxes, monies, corporate status, bookkeeping, credit, like that. I do not at all approve of such plan. Do not centralize anything. Each temple must remain independent and self-sufficient. That was my plan from the very beginning. Why you are thinking otherwise? Once before you wanted to do something central with your GBC meeting. And if I did not interfere, the whole thing would have been killed. Do not think in this way of big corporation, big credits, centralization. These are all nonsense proposals. Only thing I wanted was that books, printing, and distribution should be centralized. Therefore, I appointed you and Bali Borden to do it. Otherwise, management, everything should be done locally by local men. Accounts must be kept, things must be in order and lawfully done. That should be for each temple concerns, not yours. Krishna consciousness movement is for training men to be independently thoughtful and competent in all types of departments of knowledge and action, and for making not for making bureaucracy. Once there is bureaucracy, the whole thing will be spoiled. This must be always individual striving and work and responsibility, competitive spirit, not that one shall dominate and distribute benefits to the others, and they do nothing but beg from you and you provide. No, never mind. There may be botheration to register each center, take tax certificate each, become separate corporation in each state. That will train men how to do these things, and they shall develop reliability and responsibility. That is the point. I am little observing now, especially in your country, that our men are losing the enthusiasm for spreading on our programs of Krishna consciousness movement. Is that all?
Yes, now
Okay.
discuss. What have you heard?
Wait, why
Okay.
not finish it?
There is some things. Okay. Other what? Okay. There's something happening. My
You need to
God,
get the,
what's happening? You will be able to cut this. Okay, what's happening? Are you touching the screen?
Yeah, the screen.
Me?
I'm yes, I did touch the screen. It
So there's
my phone
just a little bit,
down or up
there's just a little bit I did not
up.
read.
Okay, go ahead. You should be okay.
Just a little bit to do. You'll have to edit that, I suppose. So I do not think there's a photograph coming before. I cannot read it. It's just a little bit. Can you read it yourself?
Where are they
Hello?
located?
So where are you located, Prabhu? The that will train men how to do these things, and they shall develop reliability and responsibility. Have you read that part?
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay, so
This
go ahead, Chidanand Prabhu.
okay. This spontaneous loving devotional service is not so easy matter. But if one simply sticks, oh my God, strictly to the rules and regulations, the rising early, chanting of 16 rounds, Gayatri, keeping always clean, then his enthusiasm will grow more. That's all. I can't see anymore. Ramachandra, what is he doing, Ramachandra?
You need more
This is
page.
going on. This
You
is
need
going
to.
on.
You need
I
to.
can see it. I think the connection is slow. He said clean, and this into
Now the children is interfering.
Uh, well, you see, we need more text. We've run out of text on the page that we have.
You have
Ramachandra?
more text?
yeah. There is more text. Each and center. This
Well,
guy is just going crazy.
we've read everything we can read on this display. Do you see that? It doesn't show
I
the whole letter.
it's not showing the
Shall
whole
I?
letter because it's not
Haha.
showing the. It's saying right here. Do you know where you ended it?
About the old problem is that you're not following the regulative principles that I can detect. Without this, enthusiasm will be lacking. Even mechanically following, if he gets gradually understanding from the class, he will come to the point of spontaneous enthusiasm. This spontaneous loving devotional service is not so easy matter. But if one simply stick strictly to the rules and regulation like this already, like rising early, chanting 16 rounds, chanting Gayatri, then his enthusiasm will grow more and more. And if there's patience and determination, one day he will come to the platform of spontaneous devotion. Then his life will be perfect. All of this I have told you in Nectar of Devotion. So I do not think the leaders are themselves following, nor are they seeing the others or following strictly. That must be rectified at once. Each center remain independent. That's all right. But the president and other officers must themselves follow and see that others are following the regulatory principles carefully and giving them good instruction so they may understand nicely why this tapasya is necessary. And GBC and sannyasi will travel and see the officers are doing this. And if they observe anything lowering of the standard, they must reform and advise. And if there is, and if they observe anything lowering of the standard, they must reform and advise. And if there is some discrepancy, I shall remove it. Of course, if any men are coming They may not be expected immediately to take to our regulative principle cent per cent. Therefore, we should not be so anxious to induce them to live in the temple. Anyone who lives in the temple must agree to follow the rules and regulations without fail. So if some new man moves in with us, he may become discouraged and is forced in this way. Therefore, let them live outside and come gradually convinced in the class that where they should accept some austerity, and that's all. I cannot read anymore.
Austerity. Okay, I know where you're at. So I just scroll the screen more down so you will be able to read after that. Austerity. See, it is very difficult to give up so many bad habits as you have got in your country. So educate them gradually first with chanting, and do not be so much anxious to count up so many numbers, you know, of new devotees. If such devotees go away later, being too too early forced. I want to see a few sincere devotees, not many false devotees or pretenders. You see it?
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Prabhupada, so my point is that the regulated principles must be followed by everyone, otherwise the enthusiasm dwindles and they think again of sex and become restless. So many problems are there. There is some symptom of missing the point. So you see here the letter, Srila Prabhupada is basically giving the whole philosophy of management and how people should conduct themselves, how should they
Yeah.
should follow. So this is 1972. Here's the date you can see here. December 22, 1972. That's near the end of
So
the
there's
year.
no problem now, Prabhu, Ramachandra. There's no more problem because there's no devotees in the temple.
No, that's the thing. That's why
No
we're
problem.
discussing this. Yeah,
They just
that's why we
they
discuss.
just pay pujari and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no
So you see,
full-time devotees, is there?
you're saying no, and I can see that everyone is basically paid, to do something. But you see how the management structure Srila Prabhupada wanted. We've been discussing the direction of management.
Yeah.
So you see how each center must remain independent. That's all Prabhupada says. All right. So you see, but the president and other officers must themselves follow and see others are following the regulated principles carefully and giving them good instruction so they may understand nicely why this tapasya is necessary. So you ask why the gurus fall down, so you can see, why they fall down.
I can't see our friend Narayan. Is he still there?
No, Prabhu, are you still there?
Yep.
I can't see his.
Oh,
Is he? I can't see his.
you
I'm
maybe have
here.
to swipe the screen. Swipe the screen to left to right to right to left, or something like that.
Okay.
Can you hear
Then you
me?
can. Yes, we can hear you. So,
Okay.
anyways, we discussed the direction of management, and then after that, I brought in this letter to support our argument of how the centers should be independent, how the president and all the members should be, enthusiastic and making centers in every town and village. But with
Well,
a corporation, see the word corporation, Srila Prabhupada, do not think in this way of big corporation. So what did the GBC do? They made a corporation out of it.
and
Do
they
not think.
argue that Prabhupada changed his mind. They can get away with that talking to a congregation. They can get away with it at a Mayapur festival where they gather together to make bylaws, but they cannot say it in the presence of this letter. This letter
Yes.
is, if they say that, then we write not acceptable. This letter
Right.
proves what Prabhupada wanted, and you cannot argue against it. Oh, he changed his mind. No, the points that Prabhupada made are key points. They're not changeable. He would have to change his whole belief of everything. He'd have to change everything about that he wrote if he's going to change this. This statement is very key and very direct. It's a sort of statement that leaves you with a choice. Either accept it or reject who wrote it.
Right.
Either you accept the statement as absolute and key and operable and functionable and not impractical, but actually vital, or you reject the author. No, I don't think you're right. Goodbye. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Then I've
The
offered
thing
being
is,
Prabhupada.
the thing
So the
is,
GBC,
now
the
they have their
GBC
own, organization.
yes,
They have registered something
unrelated to
else.
Srila Prabhupada. But because
Yes.
they did it behind closed doors, nobody knew that they weren't supposed to be doing what they were doing. And since we never read the direction of management, I didn't read it until 1992.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
So what
So
you say about this, Prabhu?
So
What you say?
19,
If
I'm sorry,
can I say something?
Go ahead.
of course.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
I-
very deep, this discussion, because now we have Krishna West, we have Radhanath organization. I don't know is the name, Bhakti Club or something. So
Bhakti Center.
everyone has done their own thing, but they are passing as ISKCON, and of course there is also Bangalore. So everyone is a split from the organization, the original, and
You're
doing
making
their
a
own
very
thing.
good point.
What to do?
Well,
And it's
you raised a
claiming.
very, you produced an interesting situation. You would say, we can prove that ISKCON didn't do what Prabhupada wanted, but now you're saying there's all these other branches of ISKCON. All they have to do is just go their own way and do their own
Yeah.
thing and saying,
Yeah,
but
like
in the
Krishna
end,
West.
we have, yes, Krishna West and Priyananda.
Mm.
So we can, all we can do is, as well, this is my humble opinion, as humble as it gets, and that is that we can't, that the core, that anyone who is interested in ISKCON as Prabhupada created it to be should see that that is available, and we are making it available. And we are saying not acceptable to the things which were done wrong. And we can say Krishna West can be following Prabhupada, but because they're only dealing with clothing styles and stuff like that, I think, and of course change books. But if all we can do is speak the truth, the core truth, and if people accept it, that's good. But you raised a very interesting point that they've already split themselves up into pieces, but they have not completely split themselves up into pieces. They still call themselves ISKCON. And if we can work with that basic principle to say, let's bring ISKCON, so many unacceptable things that we say have been done with ISKCON. Unacceptable means contrary or different than Prabhupada. If we say we want to do what Prabhupada wanted done because he's the founder of Acharya, he is representing Krishna on planet Earth. He's not just a little guy from India. He is Krishna's representative, last representative of that caliber of Uttamadhikari on Earth. So that's where we start. So you can have Krishna West or not Krishna West, or Radhanath or any of these other organizations. Vrindavan has split away, so they did. They're sort of back again in a limp sort of way. So all I can say is, I don't know what you think, Chidananda Prabhu. I'm making an impassioned statement, or so it sounds to me, but do you agree that it doesn't matter what's split away? We're talking about the central core movement that Prabhupada created. And maybe when people see that, some of we know we couldn't even have this face of this Zoom call organization if people did not have some basis for agreeing. There is agreement with us. And a lot of people agree with us that didn't know there was an issue. They didn't know there was something to agree with. Lakshmi Prabhu, the lady, she was perfectly innocent. When she started listening, she began to get a sense of reality. And that sense of reality was not against anybody. It was simply for Prabhupada. And then that exposes that people are not doing exactly what Prabhupada wanted. Does that make sense? Chidananda?
Yeah.
So the thing is, Ramachandra, you want to say something? Or?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Anything you say, I want to hear it.
Actually, the creation of GBC Society of West Bengal, what's that? Is that ISKCON? Was that Prabhupada's desire? It's
Not acceptable.
It's not a real GBC. Not acceptable.
The rubber stamp
So-
comes down. Not acceptable.
Yes. So they are passing as GBC, but it's not the GBC.
From that letter, you can see it's the opposite of what Prabhupada wanted.
Mhm.
Direct opposite. Mathematical
Direct.
opposite. Algorithmic opposite. It's the opposite. But because
So
Prabhupada, you know what they say, Old English saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. When the cat's there, then the mice are terrified. They have to
Yeah.
protect themselves. But when the cat's away,
So
the mice will play. So
the cat has
Prabhupada
taken
is-
all for
Prabhupada's the cat.
themselves.
The cat's away. Prabhupada's away. So the mice are busy
Hmm.
playing. Our job is to bring Prabhupada back into the center, or rather to reveal that Prabhupada has never left being in the center, but they have tried to build up a illusion that he was not in the center. That's their obsession with
Yeah.
living guru. You have if you have to have a living guru, then the dead guru doesn't count anymore.
Yeah. And the other point also, Prabhu, is the BBT, which is a cash cow of ISKCON.
Yes.
And it has turned into BBTI. This is another, of course, subject
Yes.
that has been discussed many times.
That was a trick.
Yeah,
DBTI.
the BBT is supposed to centralize this. This was centralized with trustees, and the money to be given to Bayapu project, and the other half to other projects.
Yes.
All this is completely gone.
Well, yes, I was involved in a court case to try to
Mhm.
solve that issue,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, the persons I was dealing with chickened out, or they got egotistical or something. It didn't work out, and we had our day in court, but we didn't have our representation lined up properly.
Mhm.
But the actual fact is, the BBT was never supposed to be part of ISKCON. End of story.
Yeah.
Prabhupada refers in the direction of management that he's also created the BBT. He also created a BBT. The BBT is not part of ISKCON. It's an independent corporation, independent organization
Yeah.
that controls the books. Essentially, Prabhupada didn't want ISKCON to have control over his books. He didn't want ISKCON to print his books. He didn't want ISKCON to own his books. He wanted the BBT Trust to own the books, own the copy.
Yeah.
Owning a book means you own the copyright. You know, the book you can own, you can buy it in this bookstore, but the copyright you cannot buy. So he wanted that. And his argument was that if ISKCON controls the books, they may start changing them.
Mhm.
So how did they create BBTI? I was fighting that case against it. And so BBTI, they went to incorporate as under ISKCON Corporation, they went to the
Yeah.
copyright people and said, we want to incorporate our book division as BBTI.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you cannot do it because the BBT is already incorporated by itself. It doesn't have I attached to it. And they said, yes, that's our problem, our internal problem. You're the United States government and we're a religious organization. What we'd like to say is that the BBT failed, it stopped operating. But all of our books say BBT on the spine. Each book says BBT. He said,
Yeah.
we are an awkward situation. We can't change the design of the book. So what we want to do is use BBT not as a trust, but we're going to take it saying the trust is no longer effective, it's defunct. We'll use BBT as a title or as a title that it's a fictitious, no, it's the technical term is we use BBT as a fictitious name. And so
BBT,
we're going to make the fictitious name
BBT,
is BBTI is a fictitious
BBTI
name.
is a corporation also.
No, it's not. It's part of ISKCON. If the BBT was a corporation,
That's why I'm saying it's a
BBTI
corporation.
Is a
No, BBTI.
DBA.
It's a,
Do you know the meaning DBI? DBA?
doing business as.
Yes. So the BBTI is doing business as ISKCON. Or no, ISKCON is doing business as BBTI. It's like a subdivision of ISKCON, of the GBC. I mean, no, I'm sorry. It's a subdivision of ISKCON.
Yeah.
So
It's
ISKCON,
not only BBTI, there are also other BBT, BBT Africa. You have heard about this?
yeah. So it's just it's called a fictitious name. Like I can make any fictitious name. I can have a corporation, then I can say Nathan Zackheim's cookbooks, and then that's a DBA of the corporation. Or it could be somebody else's auto repair. That's another DBA, doing business as. So
They did say that
I
the
think I've been
Prabhupada
told,
was just an hired.
you
He
say?
was just an
What?
hired. They say that Prabhupada was just a hired author. They
Oh, yeah,
hired Prabhupada.
worker for hire.
Yeah, working for hire.
Yeah, that is.
So
What is the name of the guy that was represented that Ramachandra?
It's a Kuranath Das.
Kuranath came up with that one. Later on, he admitted it was a very great mistake. But that's up to the court when the case was over.
and we don't know what happened to all the prophets. There's no accounting, no auditing
From what? From BBT?
from BBT and all the branches of BBT. Like BBT
No,
Africa.
there's no such branches. BBT was an organization and it had, here's where the GBC got their idea that they were enraged, that they have to be elected for 3-year terms. Very
Yeah.
strict. They didn't, and then the BBT trustees, lifetime.
Lifetime.
And they said, why these crazy nutcases like Hansaduda and Bala Mardan, and I believe at one point Bhagavan as well, and a few others, why do they have lifetime right and we, GBC, are elected? So that's why they became enraged and they wanted to make some
Lifetime.
not only they were not elected,
Uh,
but at the same time that they could control the BBT and make
I see.
BBT part of their unelected corporation.
Complete scam.
Yes, it was a theft, corporate theft. They got away with it because, frankly, the United States government, who gave them the permission to name themselves ISKCON, who gave us to be ISKCON, or gave Prabhupada the right to use the term ISKCON because he applied for it, had no, they're not very interested in what we're doing. All they're interested is that we're not pulling some scam, ripping off money, presenting false statements and whatnot that would make us into criminals. But as long as we're playing by the rules we say we've created, they don't care what we believe in. They're not trying to discern whether we're Prabhupada or we're GBC and BBT. They don't care about who's the people, whether they're lifetime or short-term or elected. They don't care because it's inside of a corporation that they've said is okay. If the corporation comes up with illegal things like drug running or stealing money from banks and laundering it or something of that sort, that would be different because that's using a corporation illegally. But as long as we're doing it legally, there's no law against what we're doing, ISKCON. So they can do all of that and the government doesn't care. They don't intervene unless, and that was, I came into the picture, we came with a class action suit against the GBC, against ISKCON for having taken the BBT and incorporated it as BBTI as a fictitious name, when in fact they were supposedly separately incorporated, and they lied and said that it was no longer there. You know?
I see we have newcomers on the screen. Suryan's single. We have newcomers on the screen.
Oh yes,
Prabhu
that's nice.
Suryan's singer, welcome. Can you hear?
So who's new?
Someone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Suryan's single, Prabhu.
Acha, you were here yesterday. That's wonderful.
Ah, I was here. Was you yesterday?
Not yesterday or day before?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, I thought so.
So you know
Hare
him
Krishna.
already.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, may
So
I
you have
ask
been-
what sort of decisions does the GBC take?
Yes, Bhanu, go ahead. You're going to ask the question.
Krishna.
Can you show it slowly? Yes.
What sort of decisions or what sort of decisions does the GBC take?
What sort of
Bhanu
decisions does the
Krishna?
GBC take? Yes. What do you mean? Decisions
What
they make?
on ISKCON I'm saying, and on the president. Right now. Right
What
now,
is
We can't understand what you're saying, Prabhu.
Exactly.
what is the role of the GBC? What functions do they do?
What is the function of the GBC right now?
Right
What is
now.
the position?
Well,
Deal
the
makers.
GBC has no basis for what they're doing. They have no legal basis or moral or ethical basis, what to speak of spiritual or fiduciary right to do what they're doing. The problem is nobody has challenged them successfully.
Yeah, I'm asking what do they do?
The GBC,
Yeah.
well, they handle all of the book publishing. They change
Everything.
the books. They open temples. They manage temples. They say who can be a temple president. They can say who can be a member of the temple. They can change the books. They can do anything very exactly like the Vatican, the head men of the Vatican cardinals can even elect the Pope. The word cardinal means original or primary. It's used in law, it's used in language. A cardinal person means he's saying the definitive statement. So the cardinals are primary. Cardinal means really primary. So these primary men, cardinals, elect the Pope. So just like the GBC elects gurus.
Mhm.
But that's the opposite of what Prabhupada asked. Not asked, but he declared, what he said he wanted. And if we cannot accept what Prabhupada wanted, then we cannot accept Prabhupada. We cannot accept Prabhupada, then ISKCON, the ISKCON that does not accept Prabhupada is not really ISKCON at all. It is a puppet organization doing business as ISKCON.
Yeah.
Bhanu, is that clear?
Yeah.
Banu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu Branu, are you disciple of someone? Can you say his secret?
No,
No.
Bhanu Prabhu is Bhanu is one of our associates. He's been joining
I
us
see.
since
That's why it's
yeah.
good to introduce
He's a
people.
He has never taken initiation.
That's no problem.
yeah, he's like me.
Mhm.
He's a good
But
guy.
you're following. That's the main thing. What's
Yeah.
initiation
Yeah,
anyway?
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Yeah.
Krishna. Bhanu Prabhu, any more questions or Chidananda Prabhu? I mean, now Chidananda Prabhu, did you know about that letter that
Yeah,
you read?
I've read it.
I read.
I've
Did
read
you ever
it
know
many
it?
times. I know about it.
Okay. Okay.
The same
And
letter.
That's good.
I
So
see.
then, what conclusion did you draw, Chidananda Prabhu, by having read it?
Well, it's all bogus. The whole thing is a scam. And practically, I lived that scam. I was selling all sorts of
You
things,
Yeah.
making big money for the
uh,
boss. But then,
uh,
as the selling was not bona fide, Krishna took away all the wealth. I was
right.
disciple in France under Bhagavan. He wanted to buy castle after castle. So after that, the tax people knew about it. It was illegal. So they came and gave us huge fine of millions of francs. So we were bankrupt.
Mhm.
Everyone has
Wow.
to get out of the temple. There's no more funds. So that's how it went. And then one sannyasi managed to save one temple, one castle, the new Mayapur one, and it's still going, but most devotees are gone. There's about 20 devotees now. Before it was 200 or something.
My God.
That's how it is when you disobey the orders of spiritual master.
So you have practical experience
Practical
in
experience.
disobedience.
What was the disobedience factor? How did it become illegal?
But we were religious people, like priests. We are not supposed to sell carpets, paintings.
They were
Huge,
selling
huge,
carpets, paintings.
yeah, very expensive ones. Huh?
Wow.
Maybe $2,000 each or something. I was
So you
assisting in the
so
treasury, so I know everything about the huge sum collected.
I don't quite understand what they did that was considered by the French. The French said the ownership of the castle
no.
was.
It's a religious non-profit, and they were
No,
using it to make money, to swindle money,
yeah,
to cheat people. It's a religious non-profit means it's a
Yeah.
non-profit
See,
organization.
We're not
They were
supposed to
treating
do business.
a non-profit business organization cannot sell things.
Yeah, no, we're not supposed to make profits by selling things like that. Books, okay,
Books are okay.
but selling carpets, no.
Carpets. They were selling carpets.
They were selling
Business.
these reproduction paintings made
Yeah,
in Asia, right?
Right.
yeah, that was illegal.
And they spend
Carpets even more.
they pay $200 for $100, $200 for the painting, and they sell it for
Uh-huh.
2, 3, 4, 5,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was into it. So much money came in and then out. Everything was out.
But they
And
could
then
have done it.
Bhagavan,
Couldn't they have done it as a householder business and
yeah,
the householder
apart from
business
the,
giving the money by
apart,
donation to the temple?
away from the temple, Vyasa can do it. Why not?
I
But
mean,
not
they could have.
from the
Couldn't they have
temple.
done the same thing legally by having it done by an association of like
Yeah,
grihasthas?
but Bhagavan is stupid. He thought he was a controller
God,
of France. He can do what he wants,
Bhagwan was stupid.
you know. And and we were
Maybe
doing
they
it
don't want to
openly,
pay tax for it
Sorry,
Yeah.
or
Paul?
no tax.
So
No,
he was. It
we
was
were
just
not supposed to sell these things.
yeah.
We were not supposed to sell.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
not as. Why he didn't
It was
trust anyone to sell the paintings and then give the money to the temple?
no, we are not
All they have to
supposed
do is make their own
to,
corporation.
to do
They would
any
have to pay
selling of these
taxes.
things.
They would have to pay
No.
taxes
No,
on the
since
No,
the
we
sale.
temple doesn't have
we
to
were
pay tax, they were selling all kinds of stuff and making money out of it.
we are not able, according to this NGO laws, we are not
Yeah.
allowed to sell these things. Yeah.
Mhm.
No. The castle, Bhagavan, he cannot sell. But if he has a householder disciple or initiate, that initiate can run any business he likes, right?
Yeah, but it was not the case. It was done by full-time devotees, all of them. And
Full-time
they got
devotees living
huge
inside
Oh,
the
money.
temple.
that
Yeah.
was their alternative to Sankirtan.
Yes.
Yeah. At the same time, they had some books with them, but some of them had no books at all,
Got it.
just
In other
paintings
words, they
and
were
mm,
doing it like Sankirtan and supposedly getting donations, but actually they were making sales
They were
of
salesmen.
paintings
Paints and
for a
carpets.
huge profit.
and Australia,
I
it's
got it.
worse. Australia,
Now,
one devotee, Nanda Gopal, is saying that they were working like slaves, all day, selling candles, very heavy box of candles.
mhm.
And after many years, he realized he was being used as a slave. And these people were, the guru and the president, was enjoying like anything with this huge profit, buying their own house,
Rolexes.
Jaguar cars, Rolexes. And why
Which
people are
guru
so
was that?
stupid to follow this?
Um,
Bhavananda.
Bhavananda.
Innocent. They do it all the time. Rajanish, the same thing. But
Yeah.
which guru are we talking about? Buying the house.
Bhavananda.
Bhavananda in Australia. And
Oh,
now
Bhavananda,
is
yeah.
is
Yeah, he
exposing
created
all
Govinda's
this scam.
as a homosexual gathering place.
Yeah. And now he is exposing it on internet. I can send you the link. Just
It's
now,
okay.
last week.
Yeah. Narayana Prabhu
We can,
knows about this. Go ahead.
we can
Okay.
easily expose the position of the gurus. See, what criteria are they using to appoint gurus, the GBC? We have to discuss that.
We have discussed that
And
already many times, and we're still discussing it. Yes.
yeah, what is the criteria? And say the disciple feels that the guru is some holy person. There's no the GBC just appointed him for some material reason.
Yeah. Well, that's we say we put the rubber stamp. boom, big red stamp,
The
unacceptable. Because
vote, the vote,
the
the vote to
the businessman cannot appoint the holy man. GBC
Yeah.
is a corporate, represents a mundane corporation. ISKCON as a corporation is a government grant from the Karmi government, not a holy government. So the GBC cannot appoint spiritual people because they themselves are simply corporate officers working for or under the authority of the government where they exist. It's a very clear thing. But like that situation, if they were examined carefully, they probably lose all sorts of status also. But they've managed to work, like the painting situation.
But why
Now-
make a business out of spirituality? Can't they find anything other better business to do rather than mix up spirituality and make a business out of it? I don't get it.
Well, you're talking about the selling paintings in France?
Everything. I mean, making a business out of spirituality, I'm saying. It's gone.
Look, they were just doing it to make money. We started out Sankirtan chanting in the streets. We had nothing to sell, but then we had Back to Godhead. So we would get boxes of Back to Godhead and go out in the streets, Los Angeles, San Francisco, places like that. And
Like
we
the
would
gurus,
and
gurus collecting money, donations from these disciples every week,
plenty.
Well, at that time there were no gurus. I'm talking about when Prabhupada was guru. He didn't get the money. The temple got the money. So we would go out and we would sell Back to Godhead magazines. And I went to Detroit and I set it up. I taught the Detroit devotees to go out on Sankirtan and to sell back magazines. That's I taught Bhagavan to do how to do that because he had no experience with it. And I had experience in Los Angeles and San Francisco.
He was very good. Bhagavan was very good for books also.
Yes. Yes. No,
Printing
Bhagavan is
and
very, very, very intelligent gentleman.
You should try to get him back.
Maybe. It's hard.
Never
He
know.
has to come. If he comes back with a straw in his mouth, that's okay. But to get him back because we want him back, it doesn't. If your wife is unfaithful, don't try to get her back.
He has to renounce. He has to renounce the Gopi Baba Club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as far as I know, Paranjan never admitted anything about Gopi Baba Club. Never admitted anything. He never mentioned it. He never admitted it. He never said Prabhupada disapproved of it. He just.
But he started it.
He created it, and he offended Prabhupada by defying Prabhupada by saying Prabhupada was wrong. That he was not doing anything wrong, and that Prabhupada was wrong to criticize him. That's not right. By the way, was Bhagavan one of the original 12 GBC members? Do you know?
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Oh, was Bhagavan one of the original GBC members?
Yeah, he was.
He was. So you see, that's where the fall down took place. You thought the fall down took place in France years later, but that's only the bankers steal the money from the vault, then they go off and make their own little kingdoms with it. Then you think that, okay, when I got caught, that's when I committed no, the crime was committed when they rejected the GBC order of Prabhupada. After that, it was just piracy. All the years from
Prabhu Narayan?
to the present moment is piracy.
Prabhu
Stealing
Narayan?
from Prabhupada, yes.
Were you proposed to be guru? Did you
I'm
ever?
sorry?
Did ever the GBC propose you to come with them as GBC as a guru?
They may be crazy, but they're not stupid.
They knew you well then.
They know me very well.
I see.
From before, when Prabhupada was still here, they knew me well.
Aha.
I was always for Prabhupada. If they
Mm.
wanted me to do something against Prabhupada, I
Ah.
refused. So they
But
only
what
wanted
were
to deal with
you?
people like themselves that could do
You should
business
have
with
been
each other.
there during the last days. You should have been there during the poisoning days.
What
What
about
were
it?
you? During the last days of Prabhupada, you
Oh,
should
that's
have been there.
interesting. I wasn't, nobody knew he was being poisoned.
Mm.
Nobody released any photographs of Prabhupada at the end.
I
Nobody
see.
talked about it. Nobody came out and said anything. None of the GBC mentioned anything that Prabhupada is suspiciously ill. Everybody knew he was ill, but nobody knew there was any crime attached to it.
Yeah. They didn't let anyone getting in the room. Very, very difficult to get in.
Yes, yes. Later on, there's all these people in the room, and this guy Dwight with his mouth wide open, chanting in Prabhupada's face, and other disgusting things like that. And yeah,
After how many years?
There was a select group of people there.
Mhm.
And when Prabhupada said that he wanted all of his disciples to come to his samadhi ceremony, they refused.
Yeah, I know about
And
it.
if have you seen the videos? Bhavananda and the others dragging Prabhupada in an ordinary palanquin sort of thing, just like you have for an ordinary person. He's sitting there, he's being carried along in the streets, almost like on a rickshaw, to the place of samadhi. Half a dozen people, a dozen people were there.
Aha.
My brother had a bigger ceremony than Prabhupada. My brother passed away in December,
Mhm.
or actually maybe late November.
I've seen the video,
My
but they say
brother,
also they
Bhakti
put
Madhura Govinda Goswami. He had a much bigger ceremony than Prabhupada.
it's also alleged that if they put some chemicals, is it what I don't know what it's called.
Cardamom.
So that sorry,
Oh, for Prabhupada?
yeah,
Yeah.
with
Oh,
the salt,
yes,
they added some chemical.
Cardamom.
It's called lime, quicklime.
Lime. Did they do that?
Lime is what the mafia uses to dissolve people's bodies that they kill.
Is
They
there
kill
any proof
somebody,
of that?
and then they put them in a pit full. Lime is a natural mineral that comes out of the earth. So there's a
Yeah.
pit of lime. They take the dead body that they murder someone, put it there, and everything, flesh and bones is dissolved. So Narayan Maharaj is the one who did the samadhi ceremony.
Yeah.
And he used lime and salt together to put around Prabhupada's body.
Is there any evidence of that?
I
That he
don't
put
know.
lime?
We have to find out. That I don't know.
Mm.
I mean, why are the poisoners going free? Why aren't they put under the bars, jail bars?
What was that?
Why aren't the poisoners or killers? Why aren't they put under the jail bars? Why aren't they?
Jayananda?
No,
Stadium. Why aren't
he's asking about why the poisoners has not been jailed.
Why?
So he doesn't know about this thing.
Yeah, it's like the mafia. How come people, they killed hundreds of people, nobody goes to jail? Because nobody is outside able to testify. The only people that could go to jail are the conspirators. They're all in it together.
They didn't have any evidence like for decades until the poison tapes come out, and then they started doing hair tests, and they found arsenic and cadmium in his hair follicle neutron analysis, hair tests. It wasn't until decades later that they found out that they were able to confirm that yes, Srila Prabhupada was confirmed with scientific evidence.
It wasn't
Isn't there
that.
strong evidence
it was-
against Tamala
Yeah.
Krishna, Jay Pataka, and the three people are involved? Radhanath maybe.
Their voices are on the recording. They, like the voice print, it's like a fingerprint. And they found that with the modern technology, they were able to distinguish whose voices were whose, and they found
Yes.
those three voices there.
True.
And then the hair tests, some maybe
Not
within
scientific.
a few years later, they found the cadmium and arsenic in his hair in
Yeah.
catastrophic amounts, like really high amounts.
Yes.
It
Well, you
he
know,
really should have been
Nityananda,
in a very short period, but
Nityananda wrote a book called Someone Has Poisoned Me. And that book is based on Tamal Krishna's diary. And there is evidence also that you can find in a book by Weider, who is a guy that started all the weightlifting stuff, the first gymnasiums for weightlifting. Weider became interested in the murder of Napoleon, and he was able to prove with hair samples that Napoleon was poisoned systematically with arsenic. And the symptoms of Napoleon's poisoning and Prabhupada's poisoning are practically identical.
I see.
I mean,
So can they go with the diary of Tamala Krishna?
arsenic is tricky.
He was noting even the such things only in his diary.
What? I'm
Can we
sorry.
go with the
Can you
diary
repeat?
of?
he's wondering what all
Actually-
was indicated in Tamal Krishna's diary that he was using to write that book, Nityananda Das.
Oh, no, Tamal Krishna wrote his diary because he's an egotist. He wanted to have a diary and publish. But the diary goes into day by day situation of Prabhupada, how his illness showed up. And it was manipulated. You see, like with Napoleon also, they wanted him to look like he was taking medicine and getting better. They slowed down the poison or stopped the poison. And you feel better. And then the medicine failed, so they give him more poison. Oh, see, the medicine is not good after all, and he failed. That happened to Prabhupada continuously. Every time a doctor came, they gave him medicine, he got better. And then after a few days, he got worse again. Well, it's easy enough. It's just like playing an instrument. You make a loud noise, you give a poison, he feels sick. You take away the poison, you don't give the poison, he feels better.
So it's 50
That's
years
what it's
and nothing has been done about it. Why is it so?
A lot has been done about it, but the problem is there's how are you going to prove any of it? You have the circumstantial evidence, but how do you get concrete murder evidence? And then again, how do you link the poisoning to any specific person?
Right.
It's not easy. So I would like to take Bhavananda out in the woods somewhere to a cabin and give him all these truth ceremonies that they do for torturing people and water borders and whatnot, and give him nice, delicious prasadam and everything, talk to him sweetly, and then give him these drugs and then electric shocks to his feet and stuff like that, and do that back and forth, cold, ice, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, until we say, oh, Bhavananda, we love you, Bhavananda. Wouldn't it be easier if you told us exactly what happened? And then that guy that comes in and tortures you, we'll make him stop because, but we want to know the truth. So you just tell the truth and there will be no more torture. We promise you everything like that. And then he would tell the story.
But there was a
Probably wouldn't take
whispers.
that
The
much to get him to
whispers.
confess.
There was a whispers on the tape, identifying people saying the poison is slowing down. On this.
Yes. The
Those
poison's
whispers,
going down, the poison's going down, the poison's going down.
Yeah.
And
It can be
Prabhupada, even
proven,
in his
said it.
deathbed, basically, he said to the Ayurvedic doctor, they say someone is poisoning me. And then
Yeah.
Tamal, the evil genius, Tamal, goes straight to Prabhupada and says, oh, Srila Prabhupada, who is saying that
Oh,
who is poisoning you? Do
I
you know
didn't
why
reply.
Tamal did that?
Mm.
It's right there in
To
the
escape.
records. But you
He's
know
the-
why
he's
he
the
did
one.
that? Tamal understood some of the transcendental mechanisms of Srila Prabhupada's thinking because he wanted to be the next Prabhupada. He wanted to be the moon, not a star. And he studied Prabhupada intricately. And
Mm.
there's one thing about a pure devotee, he will never accuse anybody of anything. So when he said, who is poisoning you? Tamal, Prabhupada knew very well Tamal was poisoning him. And Tamal asked him, who is poisoning? Like he's challenging, I mean, an ordinary person lying on his deathbed and the murderer comes in with poison on his fingers saying, oh, somebody's poisoning you. Who's poisoning you? The person being poisoned said, you son of a bitch, you're poisoning me. That's what they would say, but not a pure devotee. And Tamal knew that.
He just stayed
And so
quiet.
Prabhupada answered obliquely. He said, oh, these voices, there's some of these voices, like they were saying something like very vague. He was actually hearing what people were saying, so they didn't know they were being heard by Prabhupada either. And besides, Prabhupada is the external representative of Paramatma. So it's not difficult for Prabhupada to know everything. The question is, these are all posthumous activities. So Prabhupada played into the pastime of being murdered, and they played into the pastime of murdering him. When you're murdering a pure devotee, it's tricky because it's not like murdering an ordinary ignorant person. You're murdering a person who's transparent, guy medium who is being directly guided by Krishna. And that raises questions that some people don't understand, which is if Krishna knew Prabhupada was being poisoned, and Prabhupada is his great devotee, and doesn't Krishna protect his devotees? Why didn't Krishna come and shoot Sudarshan chakras at all of the poisoners? And the answer is very simple, because Prabhupada didn't come here to have the poisoners murdered. It's a question of, the real question is, Haridas Thakur expressed it clearly. He was beaten through 24 marketplaces by people who are supposed to kill him by beating him. You know, he shouldn't live to if you get beaten through that many marketplaces, if you go through 6 marketplaces, you may die. If you go through 12 ones, you can die. But to go through all of them and not die when you're a little skinny Muslim kid, guy like that, why? How could he possibly not die?
But why did they beat him?
They came to what?
Why did they beat him in so many marketplaces? What was the
He
story?
was ordered by the Nawab, the prince or the official of the Muslims condemned Haridas to death. To be
Haridas
beaten
is
to death.
Muslim. Haridas is Muslim.
They were Muslims.
He's Muslim.
Yeah.
So
During
it's
the
Aram.
500 years ago, there were
Aram.
no ample supply of Muslims in Bengal. So Haridas was being beaten and he didn't die. Now here's the point. The Muslim beaters who beat him said, Haridas, you have done us a great injustice. They knew that Haridas is a saint. If you accuse a saint of an injustice, the saint will take it very personally. Injustice, what have I done? His tendency will be to make amends, to rectify the offense that he's committed against another living being. In this case, the people who were beating him to death. He said, I've committed I will be the responsible for your death. How? He said in great concern and personal concern that he did not want to be the cause of death of anybody. And they said, because after 24 marketplaces we have beaten you, you're still alive, they will say, oh, you were taking it easy on him, or you thought that you believed all that saint garbage stuff about him, did you? And so you took it easy and only hit him very lightly so he didn't die. And so that's what they accused Haridas, that they will be beaten to death or killed because they didn't beat him hard enough to kill him. So Haridas responded, and this is the mood that I'm claiming is the same mood of Srila Prabhupada. Haridas said, if my being alive is inconveniencing you even for 1 minute, then I will die immediately.
They didn't give a proper reason for beating him up?
If my being alive is inconveniencing you for even 1 minute, then I will die immediately. And he fell down on the ground like a stone. And what's
your question?
Stone? Well, Haridas is Brahma. Therefore, he could make himself quite adequately heavy. The creator of this entire universe falls down after having been beaten as a little skinny Muslim god to the streets, to the marketplaces. And they tried to pick him up and throw him in the Ganges because from the Muslim point of view, if you throw a dead body in the Ganges without proper purification, without proper burial, soul will.
What was the reason that they were beating Haridas Thakur?
What was the reason why Haridas Thakur was being beat by the Muslims?
Because he said that Krishna was God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the exact exchange.
I think the exchange was
the Muslim guy, the Nawab, said to him, magistrate said, you are on trial for your life. Why? Because you're a Muslim and you're worshiping a false god, meaning Krishna.
Yeah. So he can be killed.
Haridas responded with great surprise and said, I'm amazed that you should say false god. I thought there was only one God.
Mm.
And because of that, they condemned him to death for claiming that Krishna could possibly be God, as well as Allah.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what they did.
That Allah is Ram or the same as Krishna?
Krishna has hundreds of millions of names. And besides, Krishna is not a name anyhow, is it? Krishna has no name. Krishna's name, Krishna is not a name. Krishna is a description. Krishna means all attractive. I mean, what if I go to somebody's birthday party? Oh, sir, what's your name? Oh, my name's all attractive. That's not a name, it's a description. My name is Nathan Unarandaras, not all attractive. So Krishna, to give you an idea of how many names Krishna has, Seshanaga, the multi-headed serpent that supports Vishnu in the ocean inside the universe. He has unlimited heads. Each head, in one context, each head is speaking Krishna's so-called names, Krishna's qualities. Each head never repeats itself ever in eternity. And neither does any other head repeat what the first head said, or the 10th head, or the millionth head, or the quadrillionth head. They don't repeat. So Krishna's pastimes are so multifarious that Seshanaga can speak unlimitedly with unlimited heads over an unlimited passage of time, named eternally, without repeating himself once.
No, about Jesus Christ, he said that Christ means Krishna. Krishna. I'm asking, what about Allah?
What about Allah?
Yeah.
Well, and what about Jehovah?
Jehovah is Jews. Huh?
All the religions have a name for God, and those God names are not names; they're descriptions. If I'm not mistaken, Allah means great, doesn't it?
Allah our Bob is great. Allah is great.
Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Yes. So the point being is that Allah is not any more a name of Krishna, of God, than Krishna is. That the term, the verb, the noun, Krishna, all attractive, has an inconsistent mathematical or algorithmic distinction which separates Krishna from all the Krishna, Murari, Govinda, all these other names. What is that distinction? And that is, all attractive is definitive of God. All these other names are names. Krishna is all attractive. The only living being, and I'm not talking about jivas, the only living possible of a living conscious Satchidananda being, infinite being, of being, have a name, is to call him all attractive, because that includes all of the names being uttered by Seshanaga. All the names that are being uttered by Seshanaga are included in 2 syllables. Krishna is the final mathematical status, not a name. All attractive means everything and everyone and all existence is attracted to Krishna, not a name like Joe or Harry or Sam. Krishna means, now if you look at Krishna in his original form in Krishna Loka, he contains all of us. He contains every jiva. They might say it contains Banu, but he also contains all of the parasites in Banu's pores, and all of the germs in Banu's digestive tract, and all of the parasites nibbling at Banu's pancreas, and all of the jivas in Banu's intestines, including all the jivas in Banu's stool and urine. All of those things are there. So that is inclusive. So, and Krishna is Paramatma, is Vishnu, is in every single atom. So all attractive means all of that is inside of Krishna. The blue boy playing on the flute contains everybody and everything. All jivas are part and parcel of Krishna, and there are an unlimited number of jivas. Even the material world, what to speak of in the spiritual world. Unlimited jivas, and yet they're all part of the blue cowherd boy inside.
Arbol?
Huh?
Yes, go ahead.
Ramachandra.
Yes, yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Someone can say, if these mutis are so powerful, how come the Muslim come and smash all the temples? So many temples.
How come what?
Muslim
Here-
kings.
The Muslim came and smashed the mutis and the temples
Oh,
by
because
thousands.
this is Kali Yuga. Which temples do you refer to in particular? Radha Damodar.
In Indian temples, Vrindavan temples.
Vrindavan.
They destroyed all the temples in
destroyed.
India. They
Which
looted.
deities were smashed?
Not
I don't
particular,
know
maybe
about
all the
it.
temples generally.
The temple
What?
structures,
Jagannath Puri.
No, the temple structures were damaged, not the
They
deities.
wanted
The
to
deities.
destroy all
Temple
the.
structure. You're talking about the deity or the temple structure?
Maybe
Structure.
sometimes deities, I don't know all the
Deities
details.
also.
Where?
They
Maybe
destroyed
the
all.
deities or
He's asking. He's asking where.
Which
Which one?
deity?
No, why did they do? Why?
I
How
don't
come
know
the
about the
deities didn't?
details, but they
Nothing.
did
The god.
destroy.
Govinda Dev in Jaipur was in a temple in Vrindavan. Shah Jahan's wife, I guess, didn't like the idea that the Radharani temple, that the Jiva Goswami, that the temple was bigger than her palace. So her husband went with a cannon and started shooting it down from about 8 stories high down to 4 stories high. Then the king of Jaipur, Man Singh, came to Vrindavan, took the deities and brought them, Govinda Dev deity, to and built his palace and the deity's temple opposite each other across a thin lake. And he had a room put where he could actually see the deity day and night whenever he wanted to
Yeah.
by sitting on a throne. And
Right.
the throne that
So
is
the
in
deities
that
were
city palace, one second, the throne that's in the city palace, it was a howdah, meaning it goes on an elephant or it sits on the floor, made of ripose silver, hammered out silver with designs, red upholstery, bolsters, lions, shringasan, lion feet, a little border, a little edge. And that is shown to me by Shamasunder in a German book from 200 or 300 years ago. And he said, someday we should make like that for Prabhupada. So I did. I made a copy of that throne, not ever knowing, only seeing it for about 3 minutes. I made a copy of that throne of a Vyasasan for Prabhupada. The original Vyasasan, that you see all the pictures of Prabhupada
I've
sitting
seen.
there? Yes, that was copied after Man Singh's throne, howdah, that he would sit on looking straight across at the deity on the altar of the Govinda Dev temple in Jaipur.
I see.
Right.
But that deity escaped. I don't know of any deities that were smashed.
I don't think
I
any
think they
deity
are,
was.
Prabhu.
Not
I don't think
major
so.
deities.
No.
Many
That's
temples
maybe
were
some,
destroyed by the Mughal kings,
Temples should
Muslim
be
kings.
destroyed.
Structure, the structure. We're talking structure. There's like
Yeah.
deities, no. Most likely
They
no.
managed to
Vaishnava
escape the
deities, especially. Forget it. Yeah, the deities,
But the
especially
deity,
Vaishnava deities.
we have to consider that the temple houses God, but the temple is not God. God is God. Krishna is God. The temple is not Krishna. The temple is a building enclosing Krishna.
Yeah. I
So
suppose
when
they
the
had a
temples were destroyed,
structure.
Actually, the deity doesn't require a temple. The temple is for the devotees to not get wet when it's raining.
Hmm.
If you
I
stop to
suppose
think
they
of it.
had a structure to escape anytime there's a aggression underground, you know.
Yeah, that could be done. Oh, you mean to take shelter of the temple?
Yeah,
Yes.
to get the temple, the deity in a safe place. Maybe they
Yeah.
had always underground facilities to get him out.
Sometimes, yes. It all depends. But the
Even
thing
the
about
treasures.
the deity is stronger than the adversary.
Even the gold has been saved sometimes.
Yes.
The treasure.
So what are we trying to improve for your
No, I was just saying about why the Muslim could destroy the deities.
They didn't.
So
No, they didn't destroy the structure. We've got to
I-
say structure, not the deities.
I got
They
the
destroyed the
answer.
temple, but not the deity.
Mm.
That's I just
And
tried to
All the
explain.
Vaishnava deities
But
escaped.
Govinda Dev,
I
he
see.
went to Jaipur. He hitched a ride with Man Singh, who is a giant. His hands were so huge, almost unimaginably large hands. I've seen his gloves in the city palace in Jaipur. His hand is unlimited. unbelievable. He must have been 8 feet tall. He was a giant. Do you know what he used to do for fun? He used to take a little short sword, he'd go off in the jungle, and he would fight hand to hand with tigers and kill them.
Wow.
Mhm.
Man
And
Singh,
then he
his
would
name,
come
huh?
back
Wow.
and sit on the asana of the howdah, the throne, the beautiful red velvet throne with silver all around it. He would sit on that and gaze adoringly at Govinda Dev Deity just across the way.
But they did destroy the Shiva temples, no, all over the world. The Shivlings.
That's,
Did they manage to
possible.
do that?
It's possible.
Mhm.
I don't know. But what is the concern? Our job is to worship, not to destroy.
No, I mean, part of history that because they did that, they think they're superior to destroy God in the form of Shivling. And there's a Shivling at the Mecca.
I haven't studied the
Broken
exact
one.
history of all of it. As you can tell, I only know certain histories that were revealed by Srila Prabhupada himself. So, like the Govinda deity in Jaipur is self-manifested. So, if he's self-manifested, what's the question of destroying?
Right, right. Huh. Forget destroying. I mean, even the soul that is occupying this body is not destroyed. What to think of the deity that is Krishna himself, self-manifested
Exactly.
deity.
That good point. Otherwise, we're saying the deity is an idol and he's only
Yeah,
what God when we think he is. You know, that's not right.
yeah. It's not
And
all
there have been so many
philosophy.
examples of deities that were calling out to people and they didn't know where it was coming from. They found a big mountain, not a mountain, a big hill or something, and they
Right.
said, I
Right.
think in Gujarat.
Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah.
You know the story?
Yes.
Well, tell
Madhvendra
us.
Puri, the deity.
Okay, say
I
what
think
happened.
I think some merchants were coming and they were bringing some kind of salt or something, and one deity was in there, and the deity talked with Madhvendra Puri or something, and then he
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I'm here. Why don't you guys do this? Take me out and start worshiping me." So that they took him out of the ground, and they did all the elaborate, auspicious,
Yeah. So the deity
celebration.
was already there. He had been buried there. Maybe there was a war, maybe there was
Right.
something, and they had to bury the deity. And then he came out again.
Mhm.
It's pastime. Yeah, posthumous. Right.
Yeah.
So it's inconceivable for these human, people like us,
Yes.
who material
Not like
conception of
you.
life.
No, no. Not you, others. We are trying to educate the population into
Yes.
that Krishna is capable
Adokshaya.
of manifesting himself anywhere.
Yeah, he can manifest and he can disappear also, and then come back again 500 years later.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
is posthumous.
Now it's the holy names.
Yeah.
Krishna is in the holy names, Sankirtan.
Yes.
Uh,
So we need not minimize the holy name of the Maha Mantra that Lord Chaitanya has bestowed upon us. This Maha Mantra is extraordinary, but even devotees, they treat it like, well, that's what we mutter when we're doing our religious stuff. No, we have to go further than that. It's not just a little religious habit for our sect or our religion. It's not religion. The mantra is bigger than we are. If we see ourselves as, if I am chanting the mantra, I chant my rounds, I chant blah, 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 like that. No, that is an early Kanista Adhikari point of view, not an advanced Kanista Adhikari. You have to understand the mantra is God, is Krishna. Prabhupada did say, and when I was in New York, in 1968, he said that when you are chanting, Krishna is dancing on your tongue. Now that's interesting because immediately comes to my mind thinking about it. Wait, if Krishna is dancing on my tongue, Krishna is eternal. My tongue is not eternal. My voice is saying Krishna, but Krishna's already there dancing before I can get the words out. He knows past, present, and future, obviously, being the author of all of them. And he's chanting. He is dancing, and I think that I'm chanting. But I'm not chanting, he's manifesting. So when we chant our japa, when we chant in kirtan, we are not chanting. Krishna's manifesting through our voices. And that's why the Mahamantra can deliver you. Not because we're good at chanting. Oh, I got it down. Chant, 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 chant. Not like that. No, Krishna manifests. And what is it that lets him loose from what would otherwise be words? What lets him loose is our shraddha, our willingness to believe that Krishna in the name is the same Krishna as on the altar, that's on the same Krishna in Krishna Loka, and the same God as Jehovah and Allah as well.
So,
But the name of Allah is not as powerful as Jehovah,
I'm sorry, say?
is it?
I missed it.
Krishna is
Allah
the
and
chief name.
Jehovah's name.
Yeah.
But if you chant Allah, Allah, is it the same? It's not the same.
No, because Allah doesn't mean Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. He's the Allah is not in Krishna Loka. Jehovah is not in Krishna Loka, right? But Krishna is in Krishna Loka. It's not just another. You can say, well, there's so many forms of God. What does it matter which ones you chant? And in one sense, it doesn't. But in another sense, all attractive trumps all other forms of God's name. Because all attractive, when I talk to people, they say, are you a Hare Krishna? I said, no, I'm not Radha. I'm also not Krishna. But the thing is, it's not very much. But what I say is, I get into saying, what do you worship? I say, I worship the all-attractive source of life. And I ask you, what do you worship? Oh, I worship Jesus. I said, I worship the all-attractive source of life. Did Jesus also worship the all-attractive source of life? They have to say yes. I mean, what can they say? How can someone say they don't worship the all-attractive source of life? What is the source of life? Your mother's womb? Keep going. The source of life of our bodies is our jiva, the jiva. The jiva is part and parcel of the all-attractive source of life, Krishna. Therefore, if I worship the all-attractive source of life, I'm worshiping everything that can be worshipped in one word. Krishna. And why not? This is not a religion.
The Christians, they make, every religion makes it that their God is the only way, and that is the essence.
They are cheating. They
Yeah,
just want
well, yes.
the money.
But isn't that exactly like little babies? They do not imagine that every mother is mama. They just imagine their mother is mama.
Right.
I say mama because mama in near mama in the Bhagavad Gita is stated means nothing is mine. So the word mama means mine in Sanskrit.
Mama
So when a
means
baby says mama, he's speaking his first word in Sanskrit. Mama, meaning mine, mine. Why?
see.
Because milk is there, arms are there, change of diapers there, everything is there. Why should he not say mine? Mama,
Right.
mine. Because he's ignorant. So the religions are ignorant. They say Allah, mine, mama, that's my mama. No, Jehovah is my mama. No, my mama. No, my mama. You know, they fight over it. But then we say Krishna. Well, what is that? Your mama? No, Krishna means all attractive. That means my mama and your mama and your mama and your mama. Everybody's mama. Because he's the source of life and you're alive. If you're alive, he is your source, all attractive source of life. Doesn't matter. I say to a person that worships, I actually did this. I'm not going to get into the story because it's complicated, but it's a fantastic story of how I got a Muslim who objected to me chanting Hare Krishna with my wife in 2007. How I got the Muslim in the Air India station had complained and told us to stop the Air India people told us to stop chanting. I said, why? You're offending that Muslim man over there. And I saw him, he had a little cap and a little beard, you know, a very tight little Muslim sort of guy. And we stopped immediately, of course, you know, we don't want to offend him. So I actually went over there and asked him, and I said, sir, I want to say something. May I ask you, say something? And he was not much into speaking. He said, like that, And I said, I want to apologize to you. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, I did not mean to offend you. And I didn't realize there was or would offend you. So please, I apologize. He went, And I said, you are Muslim, right? And I said, it means you are worshiping Allah. He said, And I said, would you say that how? I said, if Allah, you're worshiping Allah, you must consider him to be the greatest, correct? He went, And I said, would you say that Allah is attractive? He couldn't answer. He had never thought of Allah in terms of being attractive.
He's in
Allah
complete.
doesn't have Allah doesn't have a form, they believe.
They're scared shitless
Formless.
by Allah. They can't imagine that would be attractive. Pardon my language. So anyhow, I pointed to a very nice looking girl that was standing in line, waiting for the Air India people, some big stagnation at the not unusual at Air India office in New Delhi. And I said, there are people, I didn't say him, there are people then who would look at that woman and say, she's attractive. Wouldn't you agree? He said, And I said, but is she the most attractive woman in the room? Fortunately, my wife was not hearing what I said. But is she the most attractive woman in the room? She might be the most attractive woman in the room. He went, I said, but is she the most attractive woman in New Delhi? Couldn't be. She's attractive, but she's not that attractive. There's Bollywood actresses who are more attractive. And I said, wouldn't that be true? He went, I said, and how about on the planet Earth? Isn't there so many beautiful women that maybe even New Delhi doesn't have the most beautiful woman on Earth? Is it possible there's a more beautiful woman in some other country? He went, I said, and now we're not even touching on the universe. What about the universe? Isn't it possible there's a lot of very attractive Gandharvas, Apsaras, and whatnot in the universe? Wouldn't they be considered more beautiful than anybody else on the planet Earth? He went, I said, and then I'm asking you, if you compare Allah to the most attractive woman on earth, is he more attractive or less attractive than the most attractive woman on earth? This is the first time he's ever thought of Allah in terms of anything other than cutting your throat and chopping your head off. So I said to him, I said, so would you say that Allah is more attractive than the most attractive woman? He said, And I said,
You agreed.
you speak,
Guy.
and I asked him, you speak Urdu, correct? He said, He didn't speak Urdu, he just went, but he does speak Urdu. Okay, so you speak Urdu, right? And I said, Urdu is partially derived from Sanskrit. He was intelligent and educated. He went, I said, well, in Sanskrit, the first original syllables of the Sanskrit language is Krish and Na, meaning all attractive. So would you say that Allah is all attractive? He said, I said, so therefore, Krishna is Allah. I didn't say Allah is Krishna. I didn't want to get my head chopped off, but literally. But I said, but then Krishna is Allah. That means Allah is all attractive, and that's in Sanskrit, all attractive. That's all we were doing. All we were doing is saying, you say God is great by saying Allah Akbar, and I say God is all attractive by saying Hare Krishna, chanting Krishna.
Right.
And he said,
Wonderful.
And then I asked him, is it all right if we go back and chant again? He went, So we went back and we started chanting. And the lady from Air India came out again like a mad bee, hornet, ready to sting. She came roaring out from behind the counter and said, didn't I tell you not to chant your mantra here? I said, oh, that's right. I said, you did, but I forgot why. He said, because you're offending that man over there. And we both looked at the man, and he was chanting with us.
Guy. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Amazing.
So
Muslim
you
guy was
see,
chanting?
Muslim guy was chanting.
The Muslim man was chanting.
He
So
understood.
now,
Guy.
isn't that the answer to your question
Guy. That is the
about
answer.
Allah and about Krishna, like that? They all believe, oh, that's it, that's it, that's it. That's because they don't know Sanskrit. They don't know what they mean. I'm sure that Allah must mean something in Sanskrit. I'm sure Jehovah, maybe not, but whatever it is, it derives from something that means God. That's we'd have to know. They have to accept that because they worship God. They're not worshiping the devil, or maybe they are, but they're not worshiping the devil. They're not worshiping trees. They're not worshiping bugs. They're worshiping the abstract monotheistic being who is the source of life. And so I say, okay, I worship Krishna. Well, what does that mean? I say Krishna is the all-attractive source of life. You worship God? Yes. Well, is he all-attractive or less than all-attractive? They said all-attractive.
Ramachandra?
Then
Yes.
I say, then we're worshiping the same thing. We're
What's going
worshiping
on?
the all-attractive source of life. End of story. Okay,
I have to go myself. Thank you.
Okay, no
Okay,
no
I'm
problem.
sorry,
We'll end
I
it.
talked-
You can carry
As
on. if you want.
usual, I talked my head off, talked your ears off, but please forgive me. I
No
worship
problem.
your feet. I
Guy.
offer my obeisances in worship of your lotus feet, all of you, because
You're the
you are,
Guru.
you are
You're
my
the Guru.
Prabhus, and I am your eternal servant. I am Das, your Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
If you come to Mauritius, we can preach to the Muslims easily.
No, preach
I
now.
want to. Sorry.
Preach now. That's what we're doing right now.
I
We
see.
are in Mauritius. We're on your screen, but now you project us to the whole world.
Yeah.
That's up.
I suppose.
That's for
I
you to
suppose we
figure
are
out.
preaching to the whole world.
You
Yes,
have to
I
figure that
suppose so.
out in Mauritius.
Very great. This preaching is
So the
Right.
result of our conversation is that people will say, I thought Krishna was attractive. I like chanting Hare Krishna. I thought Krishna was attractive. But I didn't realize he was all attractive. And I
I have
didn't
a
realize
question.
a Muslim could be convinced that he's all attractive.
okay. Ramachandra,
Haribol,
I say
Prabhus.
goodbye. Haribol.
Okay.
Hare
Haribol.
Krishna. So
Last question,
tomorrow-
Prabhu.
Bhanu Prabhu, go ahead.
Bhanu, yes.
I mean,
Hmm.
chanting of the holy name. I mean, why doesn't the pure name manifest? Why is it on us to make the name what we chant pure? Why doesn't
What?
the pure name manifest on its own?
Why doesn't the pure name manifest on its own?
He is manifest. He's a living being known as Krishna. He's manifested in Goloka Vrindavan. It is worshipped by an unlimited number of people.
Why is it
residents of
on the
Krishna
sadhak?
And even on this dark planet Earth, there are certain people that are vestigially beginning to worship him, namely us.
Why is it on the devotee or the sadhaka to chant it purely by some means or following the four regulative principles and making it a pure name? It is on him to make it pure.
What's your question?
Krishna means all attractive. If you go to any dictionary on earth
No.
and look,
If you go
you'll
by the
find-
nectar of instruction, they say
Yeah.
the 10 offenses are there. So if you don't break any of the offenses, then the pure name will manifest after Harinama Chintamani in that.
Krishna is all attractive whether we see him as attractive or not. Our opinion of Krishna has nothing to do with who he is.
Right.
He's already all attractive, but I may not see him. My eyes are not purified by the ointment of bhakti,
That's very
pure
good.
love of God. When my eyes are anointed with love of
That's
God,
an answer.
then I
No,
can,
I'm asking
then
holy
I
name.
can see.
Why
his all
doesn't the pure name
attractiveness.
manifest?
Huh?
Why
He's
doesn't the
asking-
holy
Go ahead, Bhanu.
What?
Yeah, go on. Why doesn't the
Because-
holy name, which is pure, manifest purely on the chanter? Why doesn't Nama Bhasha or
It does. The holy name manifests purely. Our ears and our tongues, our hearts and our lungs and our vocal cords are not pure. But the holy
That's
name
it, Bhanu.
is pure.
You got it? It's the holy name is pure, but it's this your conditional state right now, which is impure.
Yeah. So it's
That's
not
why
that
you-
the name is not pure.
Hmm.
If we are body centric, if I start my life by saying I am my body and I think I have a mind and they tell me there's a soul somewhere, maybe on my bottom of my feet. If I go from that point of view, then I will say I cannot chant purely. But when we take into view that I am part and parcel of Krishna, and when I chant Hare Krishna, I am uttering he of whom I am actually part. There is no lack of purity in the connection. The only thing is our perception is polluted, not the name and not our utterance of the name is not polluted. Offenseless
Understand, Bhanu?
chanting means you chant without any interference
Bhanu, was it
from
clear?
material feelings, material desires. You're
Was
chanting
it-
japa and you
Over
the
your
book
head.
says
Yes.
the 10 offenses is
check. What?
not to blaspheme Vaishnava, not to reject scriptures, not to disobey the Guru, all this.
Say again. Ramachandra, can you translate?
Yes, what is the question? You are saying that the offenses are there. So are you trying to relate your manifestation of the Nam, you're chanting, to the holy offenses, to doing the offenses? Is that what you're saying?
If one doesn't commit the offenses, only then the process of the holy name, pure name gets.
He's trying to analytically analyze why the holy name is not manifesting. Either why is it the offenses? Is it I don't know what to tell
That's
him.
what the book says. Prabhupada's book.
Yes. Yeah. So if there's not manifesting, then it must be offenses. So if the book is saying it, then why you need to ask the question?
But
You want
the
to-
offense is not in the holy name. The offense is in thinking that you're your body.
That's it.
If you think you're your body and you chant with your mouth, your eyes, your ears, your many births in this material world of different types of bodies, animal and human bodies and whatnot bodies, insect bodies. When you think in terms of all of those bodies as being me, then when I chant Hare Krishna, I said, I, me, I. We're trying to say my body is part of Krishna's holy name.
So is
Because
it
we believe our body is ourself. But if I give up, renounce the body, asat, no more body, forget the body. I'm chanting sat from the Krishna platform. Then the sound is pure because you're not conceiving of your existence, which is spiritual.
do we have to
as your
get on the
body,
soul
which is
platform
not.
before chanting, or does chanting get us on the soul platform?
Exactly. Yeah, both. Abovitra, abovitra, whether purified or unpurified. When you're chanting, you become purified. You're already pure. So how can you become purified? Because you're thinking you're your body. The more you chant, the more your body becomes oriented with your own spiritual existence. You become more oriented to your real self by chanting, even though you live as though you are your body. You wallow in your skin and your bones. You think about your sexuality. You think about your appetites for eating. You think about whether you want to wear clothes or walk around naked like a naga. I mean, you think about all these things when you think you are your body. But when we give up the ideas when I give up the ideas out of my body and think, Aham Brahmasmi, I am in the spirit soul infinitesimal. At this point, I cannot see my size or my relationship with Krishna because I have no relationship. I have abandoned or renounced my relationship with Krishna. Chanting begins to revive that combination of the body and Krishna, of the jiva and Krishna, bypassing the body. The body has to be bypassed. The body will never get you anywhere. And guess what? The Kanista Adhikari gurus, they still think they are their own bodies. Why? Because the Kanista Adhikari has to follow the four regulative principles. And I assure you that the four regulative principles are not spiritual. There's nothing spiritual about the four regulative principles. The four regulative principles control the physical material body and are designed to prevent the mind from finding some way of dodging the issue. The body wants to go have sex. The body wants to go gamble. The body wants to eat whatever, meat, fish, eggs, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we give that up. Why? Because we know that the Kanista Adhikari believes that he is his body. Therefore, he would like to do all these sinful things. He'd like to find a female, presumably a human female, and have sex.
So does it start from...
As long as a human being body wants to have sex, therefore the chanting is obscured when you chant. But as soon as you dissuade transparent, make the body transparent, actually make the body unrelated to you. You just look at it. I am the soul. I am conscious. I am the soul. I could talk to a rock and it will not talk back to me. But I am a jiva because I can speak and I'm conscious. I'm conscious. My speaking comes from my consciousness. Therefore, if I
the process starts from...
What? Go ahead.
Does the process start from theoretically accepting that Aham Brahmasmi, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, theoretically accepting it and moving forward from there?
Okay, but you have to understand that when you're saying about me, you're thinking of your body while you're saying it. You have to give up that. So what I was trying, and I got a little tangled, what is that once you know, I say, I am eternal, I am Sat. Then I look, I said, what is my body? And I see there's nothing Sat about it. There's zero. The body is not Sat. It's mutable. It changes. And if you get married and you say, okay, now I'm happy, my wife and I were fine. After 40 years, you have two shriveled up old bodies because they're not Sat, they're Asat. Even that attractiveness and that love at first sight and all of that stuff you experience from the bodily and mental point of view, it goes away when you realize there's nothing ahead of me except death and either burial or cremation or something along that line. Do you get it?
That's why it's sannyas time.
Well, sannyas is also the body.
Yeah, sannyas mentality.
If a man says, I want to take sannyas, he said, I see. You identify with the body, therefore you want to stop the activity of the body artificially by taking sannyas.
Hmm.
You don't think sannyasis eat? You don't think sannyasis poop? They do. They don't
Right.
sweat? Oh, yes, they sweat.
They sweat more.
Do they shiver in the cold? They do. So where's your so-called renunciation? Why haven't you renounced the body? Why are you renouncing some of the activities of the body and not the body itself?
Hmm.
So sannyas is just a step in the right direction.
Hmm.
But it is
Consciousness
not,
has to be.
it is not proof of a freedom of bodily consciousness. It's a step. I mean, if you have nothing, you own nothing, you have no place to sleep, you carry a stick that cannot be put on the ground, has to be carried at all times above the earth, like floating like a planet in the universe. You begin to get the idea, I'm not my body. But that's what it's for. You can get Thakur Bhaktivinoda was an acharya, pure devotee of the Lord. And he had a bunch of children.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessary to take sannyas to find out that you're not this body.
Mm-hmm.
Have 10 children, 11 children. He had 11 children. It was amazing. There's an explanation too. I asked him about how he did it. But anyhow. So you
Right.
see, so we're avoiding the body by saying, Aham Brahmasmi is not a phrase uttered by the body, it's a statement of fact. I am the soul. I am Sat. So we got down to the word Sat, I am Sat. You see yourself like a person on the boat. Asat is the boat. You're in the ocean. You're standing on a boat. I am not the boat. I am the person standing on the boat.
Mm.
The boat can sink. The boat may sink. The boat will eventually be destroyed and chopped into pieces. But in my example, which is crude because I'm in my body and standing on the boat, I'm saying the soul is like a non-body in the boat of the human body, a non-body in a body. So when the soul is a non-body in a body, namely the body you're in right now, you can say, I'm not that. I'm not saying I'm not you. That would be a lie. The body is not, you cannot call the body you. So if you go down the street and you want to know where the post office is, hey you, where's the post office? You're lying. Your person you're talking to that person's body. And the person's body is not, cannot be called you. I am the soul, not the body. So when I say you, I cannot refer to a body. I can only refer to another jiva. Does that make sense? Manu, is there any part of that
It's
that
pretty
doesn't
hard
make sense?
to I mean, the soul, we
Soul
cannot
level.
perceive the soul. Pretty
Perceive
hard
the soul.
to.
You are the self-perception. You are the soul. Prabhupada said consciousness is the indicator of the soul.
Yeah.
Consciousness.
Hmm.
So you are conscious. You're very intelligent, Banu, and you're very conscious also. So your intelligence is
Symptom of the soul.
is you, is a symptom of the soul, exactly. But not of the body. Take the soul out of the body, it can't speak anything. It won't speak a damned word. Can't. Because it's an object. But we treat the object as ourselves. It's as though, supposing Prabhupada says, make me dance like a puppet. Supposing I am a puppet, I'm walking around thinking that I am the puppet, whereas I am actually the person controlling the puppet. So we are controlling the body as jivas, but we allow the body to convince us that it's controlling us because we identify with the body, so we think the body is me. I'm not the body, but I think I'm the body. So I think I'm the body, and therefore I do what the body needs to do according to the laws of nature. Karma. The soul has no karma, and the soul has no needs in terms of material life. Only the body does. So we disassociate from the body, asat. So the body is asat, I am sat, the body is asat. Keep a membrane in between. The Kahil Gabral said, be close. He said that of husband and wife when they get married, part of the Kahil Gabral's marriage ceremony is be close, but not so close that the winds of heaven cannot blow between you, cannot pass between you. Those husband and wife can be close, but not so close that the winds of heaven cannot pass between you or blow between you. Why? Because when it touches, then you contaminate each other, force each other, drive each other crazy, have a bad time. But when the winds of heaven, then it is voluntary. The relationship is permanent but voluntary. So I'm saying the same thing about their relationship to the body. You are the soul, but let the winds of heaven blow between so that you can see that you're not your body and not fooled again and again to think that I'm the body. Why be fooled? Who wants to be fool number 1 or fool number 20? Who wants to be a fool at all? Nobody
But
wants
that
to
is
be
the
called
eternal
fool.
truth that and the soul. But why does that need a philosophical and all this convincing to get to
Because
the point?
because
You
you're
don't
not
have to be
convinced.
Why doesn't it happen
It's no
naturally? Why
question.
doesn't we feel?
You don't have to be convinced you're the soul. It doesn't matter if you're convinced that you're the soul. Why? Because you're the soul, whether you believe you're the soul or not. It doesn't matter. If you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. You don't believe you have a soul. Well, that's your choice. But you are the soul, but you don't believe it. Okay, that's okay. You don't have to believe you're the soul. That's called conditioned. Fallen conditioned soul doesn't believe he's the soul. He thinks he's the body he's in. But why go there? What are you going to get out of it? Pus, blood, stool, and urine? Oh yeah, those are nice. That's what Prabhupada said. Everybody in material body. Pus,
So
blood,
there's some ignorance
stool,
or
and
Maya
urine.
covering.
So many attractive things. What?
So
Say again.
there's a wheel of ignorance or Maya covering that
Maya cannot cover you if you select yourself as the self. If you
from realizing
say,
that you are soul.
If you say, not
Naturally.
what soul? I don't have a soul. What soul? I
I
am the soul. Therefore, Maya cannot cover me.
Yeah, the spiritual education begins from realization of that we are the soul. So
Yes.
everyone aren't realizing it. So why is it so? Because is it some ignorance or some covering which covers?
No, it's desire. Remember, we were in Krishna Loka at one point. Many, it could have been our last birth, but more likely it was hundreds of gazillions of births, and we've gone through every species on the planet, 8,400,000 species, multiple times. So many more than 8,400,000. I was in Krishna Loka, and I was thinking, Krishna's living such a wonderful life. But remember, we're part and parcel of Krishna. We're not all of Krishna. We're just a tiny iota of Krishna, infinitesimal part. And I think, I wonder what it would be like to live like Krishna, to be the object of worship. Boom! Here you are in planet Earth. And you've been here ever since.
There's no conversation after that with Krishna? Huh?
Yeah. So you're part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, you have the power to want to be God. But how much God can an infinitesimal part of God be? Infinitesimal amount, not very big. So we put the infinitesimal fallen soul into a body which seems huge. Now, what's a huge body? If I am a jiva inside of the body of an ant, I will think of myself as big as an earth-moving equipment they use for making highways.
I want to discuss this point. I mean,
But
Krishna sent us to the material world because he wanted to enjoy like Krishna. But we are not enjoying like Krishna. I mean, we are only serving others.
We are enjoying the reflection of what is Krishna is enjoying. It's described in the Shastras. It's like a tree. When you see a tree reflected in the water, it looks like a tree, but it's not a real tree. If you go and say, I want to climb in that tree, you jump onto the tree, you just simply fall in the water and get wet. And on top of that, the tree is wiggling because the water is wiggling. That's Maya. The entire material world and everything in it, including our bodies and everybody else's bodies and everything, the rocks and the trees and everything we're experiencing being with, is reflection in the water. It's not real. The real thing is in Krishna Loka.
So why has Krishna sent here? I mean, so we wanted to separate from Krishna as an.
Krishna sent Lord Chaitanya to get you to go back to Godhead.
So we should be there, no?
He's trying. Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the highest form, and they're having a hard time convincing you to go back to Godhead.
No, I'm already convinced. We are all convinced that we need to be in Krishna Loka.
You're not quite convinced yet. You don't see that you're part and parcel of Krishna yet. You don't see that the body is completely asat yet. So Radha and Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, have worked hard day and night to get you back home, back to Godhead, and they can't convince you.
Bhanu will never be convinced. He'll ask theoretical questions. He'll try to trip himself up and then fall over and then ask the same question tomorrow in a different angle.
But Ramachandra Prabhu, do you know what I discovered just tonight in the last few minutes of Bhanu's conversation? He is certain of his, I always listen to, your words are fine, but I listen to your tone. In his tone, he aha, like that. He's getting it. He's getting it. Maybe
in 25,
in about 25 or 30 lifetimes he'll have it. But right now he's getting it.
Hmm.
I'm just kidding. You can have it tomorrow or tonight or not already. So he's getting it because it's beginning to click. The soul is there, then there's the winds of heaven, and then there's the body. Keep it that way. But we don't
I
like
mean,
the
do
winds
we
of
have to
heaven
feel
getting
that
involved
every
in our body.
second that I don't want to be in this material world, I want to be in Krishna Loka? Isn't every second,
Well,
every moment, do we have to feel like that? Or do we have to, or,
no,
not
no,
because we
we
have
will not,
body necessities.
you will not be
We
able to go to Krishna Loka if you wanted to go to Krishna Loka. You know why? You can't go to Krishna Loka because you want to go to Krishna Loka. Right?
well,
Why? Because you can only go to Krishna Loka when you are kinetically and actively pleasing Krishna. Somewhere in that letter, what's it in that letter of Prabhupada? Somewhere we read something about how, I forget what it was, but it was just like, gave you an insight into thinking about the Madhya Madhukari being swept away and no longer concerned with material thinking. But was it in that letter or something like that?
What letter, Prabhu?
That was the one Prabhupada's letter to Krishna.
No.
No, okay.
Oh.
It came from somewhere. I don't know where it came from.
Hmm.
Not for me, that's for sure. But anyhow, you get the picture. So the idea is, Banu, just see yourself, I am Sat, meditate. Not in your body, but just meditate abstractly. I said, I am Sat. Then think, what is Asat? And you'll see that everything you perceive is Asat. And
that's a
everything you
big thing. I mean, you're in
Mhm.
every asad, and you have to connect to the sat.
You're not
You are Sat.
connected to Asat.
You are Sat.
You're Sat.
Everything around is asad around us, except
Yes.
the soul.
Yeah,
And
you. So the thing is, remember, I just added that.
and Krishna expects us
The winds of
to
heaven.
be in sat.
Don't let the soul and the body and the Sat and Asat come in contact with each other. Let the windows of heaven blow between them.
Have some space in the middle. Try to see the space. Try to understand it's
Yeah.
two different things.
Doesn't have
Even
to be
though
a lot of space. The winds of
yeah.
heaven are pretty thin. Not big winds, windstorm
Try to
winds.
try to understand it analytically. Prabhupada says that the soul is situated in the body, but it's not doing anything. I mean, it's not in contact with the body is in contact.
Oh, very beautifully put. That's excellent. Exactly right.
So try to think what Prabhupada is saying. Actually, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, it's there. How the soul is situated in the body, but is not in contact with the material. It's the body that is contact.
And we can ask ourselves a very direct question. Why isn't the soul in contact with the body? Why can't the soul be in contact with the body? Why are the winds of heaven there required to keep the soul from ever coming in contact with the body? Why?
One point is philosophically, and another point is, I mean, getting
No,
into
it's
the
not so much
practicality
philosophical.
of it.
The soul is
You can
part
say
and
the soul
parcel
is
of,
in contact with the body, but we are
not in
experiencing
contact.
through the
The
body,
soul is
all
not
the
in
world. We are
contact with the
experiencing.
body. The
We
soul is
experience
not
the
in
world through
contact
the
with the
body.
body.
Hold
The
on, Banu,
mind is
listen,
in
listen.
contact with the body. The mind is in contact with the body. The soul is not in contact with the body. The soul only thinks it's in contact with the body because it's persuaded by the mind.
See it?
But the
Listen, Banu.
soul cannot come in contact with the body at all because the soul is equal in quality and nature to Krishna. And Krishna does not come in contact with matter.
Want to understand?
Yeah. Prabhupada says, according to because of our association with matter since time immemorial, yes, we associate with matter. We identify through the mind, we associate with matter.
No, all this is fine. I mean, you learn the philosophy, the
No, you
acharyas.
should. It's okay. You have to learn. So you're learning.
This is,
So
not,
how?
this is not a religion, and it's not
It's a
philosophy.
heart-to-heart thing about with Krishna. I mean, saying this is what I feel, Krishna. I mean, you can understand my position. I want to come to you. I want to serve you. But that's not happening. I mean, so conversation with Krishna, Paramatma. I mean, why doesn't?
Why is it not happening? It is happening, but you're just gonna see it.
The thing is, we're not trying to get in touch with Krishna. We want Krishna to get in touch with us. How do we do that? Krishna will not get in touch with us unless he's attracted to us. Now, why would Krishna be attracted to our bodies? Answer,
Right.
he wouldn't. Krishna's not attracted to our bodies. Krishna's attracted, but I'm not my body, I'm the jiva, right? So Krishna's attracted to me if I do something to attract him. The Madhyamadikari is the person who cultivates activity which is designed to attract Krishna. And he doesn't do it with his body, he does it with his feelings. And when he is attracted to Krishna, Krishna wants to see him up close. And therefore, he transfers that person to Krishna Loka.
How does it happen with his feelings? How do you serve Krishna with your feelings?
But you have to, the jiva has the capacity to please Krishna. Each jiva, any jiva. Adolf Hitler's soul, jiva. Everybody's jiva, every jiva is capable of pleasing Krishna. Right? Because all jivas are part and parcel of Krishna. Why would they not? Why would the jivas not be capable of pleasing Krishna? But they can't please Krishna when they're engaged in a body full of karmic mechanisms that are causing harm to themselves and others.
Well, Krishna placed us in this material world. I mean, he's the one, he's in charge, he's the boss. He did place us. I mean, he never asked it again, oh yeah, are you done with it? Do you want to come?
I don't think you placed it. We placed ourselves in this position. It's not.
Yeah, so
Krishna's
we are in the material world. Krishna is never in the material world.
The holy name is there.
Krishna never comes in contact with matter. That's why our body cannot worship.
Amazing.
Our body cannot relate to Krishna because our body is not spiritual. Krishna is spiritual. He never comes in contact with matter. The jiva is infinitesimal, and one of the key differences between the jiva and Krishna. What?
He placed us in the material world. We wanted to enjoy. So when is the next session with Krishna?
Krishna has never touched the material world.
Say if you send someone for a crime to jail, there's a 3 years term, 4 years term, something, this term over there ending.
Your term is ending soon. You become a pure devotee, it's going to end.
A pure devotee is a person who has realized that he's not his body.
Right. That's when it ends.
So just as Krishna doesn't come in contact with matter, the pure devotee renounces his relationship to his own body as being the self. I think we've come as far as we can right now. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. We have gone 3 hours.
Dr. Andrew, you're very intelligent. You have an amazing, maybe the accident had a good effect on you. A tremendously intuitive and introspective nature mixed with knowledge and education. Those are very good things. And we welcome you. And you say very few things. You say many things sometimes, but this part of the conversation, you were not speaking. But Bhakta Andrew Ananda, you were contributing with your consciousness very perceptibly into this conversation. You made this conversation powerful and rich because of your presence. And that is as good as speaking. And in most cases, it's even better than speaking. But I want to thank you. I really relished your perceptions and your consciousness in this conversation.
Okay.
So now let's go flying off into the, some people will be flying off into the day, and others like myself and Bhakta and Ramachandra Prabhu will be flying off into the night.
Okay, I'll read one last shloka. This is from
Please.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 9. This is about the soul. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all.
Yep. There you go.
So,
Oh, by the way, since you're reading, that was a wonderful quote and very apropos, but there's not been any people making comments.
oh, comments we'll read tomorrow, Prabhu.
I know, but there have been some comments. As you're
Yes,
saying.
yes, lots
Good.
of comments.
So, let's go. We should have a little istagosti with the comments, you know, because
Yes,
when
we will.
somebody makes a comment and we respond to it, if they hear us talking about their comment, that would be very good.
Jai. Okay, Prabhus.
Haribol!
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Back to home, back to Godhead, where we
Jai.
are standing at this moment is back to Godhead. It's getting clearer that it is.
Mm.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey,